YouTube, what is going on? Welcome back to another Identity 5 video. Today we have the Season 35 Survivor tier list. If you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Really do appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So today we have 5 tiers for this Season 35 tier list. We have S tier, A+, A, B, and C tier. Of course, S will be the best survivors in the game. They're the most playable in rank and tournament that I recommend you guys try to play as much as possible if you want to improve your gameplay and win more in rank, and C, of course, being the worst and least optimal characters to play. So, getting into our first tier, which is C tier. The first survivor in C tier is Mind's Eye. Now, Mind's Eye, unfortunately, very self-explanatory. Mind's Eye is just a very weak kiter. She can see through walls, yes, but her vaulting speed is incredibly slow. Her pallet throwing speed is incredibly slow, and that just makes her a very weak character. Hunters will literally just tunnel her first, and it'll be an easy down from there. If you want to play a character that can see through walls and has fast decoding, you might as well just play Lawyer, because Lawyer vaults very fast, and he's a faster character in general. He does not get terror shocked, whereas Mind's Eye vaults very slow, and it's just a very easy chase target for a lot of hunters. The next character in C tier is Doctor. Now, the reason why Doctor's so low is she's only good against a select few hunters, and that is Hermit, Photographer, Mad Eyes, and Ivy. And against pretty much every hunter in the game, she's really not that strong. So, unfortunately, because of these things, Doctor is just considered a C-tier survivor in rank, especially if you don't know what hunter is going to be played. Then you don't want to play something. You want to say, like, okay, I'm going to play Doctor because it's maybe going to be an Ivy or maybe going to be a Photo. You have no idea. So, playing Doctor really just doesn't make sense. I know there's a lot of people who are new to the game who like Doctor because she's a character that likes to camp pallets. But as you start to rank up and get to tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, you're going to play hunters that can play around pallet camp, play around pallet mind games, and it just really doesn't work. Doctor really only works in like tier 2, maybe tier 3 elk, and then after that, you're really not going to be successful with Doctor at all. Also, Doctor is a lot of hunters in the game, a lot of the strongest hunters that a lot of people play, counter Doctor in that they don't give her enough time to get her heal off. For example, something like Goatman can catch up really quickly to the Doctor, give her no time to get her heal off, and it just really doesn't work. Characters like Opera Singer as well. The best character hunters in the game are very good against Doctor, and that's what makes Doctor C tier. The next character in C tier is Little Girl. Now, this is one that a lot of people might be upset with me about, but I assure you guys, this is a really very, very underwhelming survivor. A lot of people are like, oh, I love to play Little Girl. Oh, Little Girl's so cute. Oh, Little Girl's so good. I can do all this with Little Girl. No, guys, at the end of the day, if you want to play Little Girl, that's fine. But if you want to win games more, you need to change your character. And I'm just saying this is as respectful as possible. Please don't be offended. I'm just saying this as respectful as possible. I'm trying to help you guys improve here. The biggest issue with Little Girl is that she relies on a few things. One, she relies on it being a specific hunter. She's only good against specific hunters, especially hunters that cannot chase rescuers. Little Girl only works with a rescuer character on your team or a character that's very hard to chase because she can combine with one of those very good characters that's hard to chase, like a Mercenary or Wildling. And that can be very good because then, then they can't down the Little Girl. But there's a lot of hunters in this game that can chase those survivors. Goatman, Opera Singer, and Geisha. A lot of these really good hunters that people love to play, those are like 4 of the most common hunters for rank, are actually counters to Little Girl because they can chase the rescuer that Little Girl combines with. So that's kind of the problem with Little Girl. Also, her pages, they take a very long time to drop. So you drop a page, it takes a couple seconds for it to activate. Most hunters can just hit you before then, or they can just wait out the page and then continue after you. Again, a lot of fast-paced hunters that can catch up very quickly, like Geisha, like Opera Singer, etc. So because of these things, Little Girl is considered, even Fool's Gold, a character that everybody in NAU loves to play. Fool's Gold can just throw the pickaxe, catch up right away. He'll just wait out the page, throw the pickaxe, and then catch up. Little Girl does have the teleport ability, which is quite nice, but at the end of the day, if you're teleporting to a survivor, it means that you're not going to be decoding for a few seconds because you have to rotate to a new cipher machine. You're going to lose out on decoding time, and your cipher rush is very slow because of that. So overall, guys, I know a lot of people really love Little Girl, and I'm just saying this from a high-level competitive standpoint, guys, so hopefully everyone can understand this. Little Girl is a very weak survivor in both rank and even in tournament. I would not recommend her if you want to rank up more, if you want to win more games. I definitely would not recommend Little Girl. If you want to have fun, go for it. Totally understand. But if you want to rank up quicker and win more games, then definitely try to play different characters. The next character in B tier is the next tier is B tier. First character in B tier is Enchantress. Enchantress, again, another character that's very good in low tiers. Hunters have a hard time dealing with Enchantress in lower tiers. But once you start to rank up more, you're not going to be able to. You're going to play against a lot of hunters that just counter Enchantress. For example, Opera Singer, very good against Enchantress. You can stun the Opera, but her dash doesn't go on cooldown. She just continues after you. The only character... Enchantress is a good counter against one character in particular. That is Geisha. Enchantress is very good against Geisha. So if you, for some reason, know it's going to be a Geisha, play Enchantress. That's cool. But a lot of people love to play Anne. Anne destroys Enchantress. Opera Singer destroys Enchantress. Bloody Queen destroys Enchantress. A lot of these very good hunters that a lot of people like to play in rank are incredibly strong against the Enchantress character, so definitely would not recommend. Additionally, you'll notice as you rank up as well, characters that start with good items or good abilities are the characters that are going to do the best kites. Because good hunters apply instant pressure, and they make it very... as soon as they start chasing you, they apply instant pressure, and they make it very difficult for you to kite. So if you're a character like Enchantress that doesn't start out with any abilities, you have to get that first stack by kiting for a bit naturally, then it can be very difficult against good hunters. So, and again, in lower tiers, through like Elk tier 3, maybe even Mammoth tier 4, Enchantress is fine. But once you get past that, start to get to Griffin, Alicorn, Enchantress is considered a weak character, and you'll have a hard time against those better hunters. Next character in B tier is Lucky Guy. The reason why Lucky Guy is not in the bottom tier is because he actually does have some supporting abilities, which can be quite useful. Not only does he have a veteran speed bonus, which is very nice, he can also hold 2 items, which is very useful. He has the pouch, which you can get an item from that. I actually think he might be a little higher than B tier, but this is how most of the world would consider him, I would imagine, at this point. The biggest problem with Lucky Guy is when you go search a chest, you're losing out on decoding time. Cypher Rush is really, really crucial. If you're searching a chest as Lucky Guy, you're losing out on decoding progress, which means that the hunter has more time to deal with your team than they normally would if you decode instantly, which is usually what you're supposed to do, depending on where the hunter spawns. So that's the problem with Lucky Guy. But besides that, he's actually not a terrible character at all. He's playable for sure. He's got a veteran speed bonus again. He can get an item that's not guaranteed. The problem is he is luck based. If his first item was always guaranteed, that would be good. It's like, oh, guarantee a flare. I can guarantee this item from the parcel that he gets. But you have to then go search a chest. You're losing out on decoding time. Not every item is guaranteed, and it makes it very difficult. So because he's lucky, a luck-based character, Lucky Guy, that's what makes him B tier. He's just not always the most consistent because of that luck factor. The next character in B tier is Thief. Now, Thief has kind of been all over. He used to be really bad, then he was good, and then he was bad, then he was really good. Now he's just kind of meh. Thief is also not good against a lot of the good hunters. He's good against some hunters. So, for example, something like a Clerk. If people are playing Clerk, which no one really plays anymore, then Thief would be good. But the problem is, a lot of those people don't play that character anymore. On very specific maps, he can be good against Opera Singer. But then again, he's just bad against something like Ivy or Goatman or Anne or any of those hunters that have those stun abilities and can get easy hits on you. So because of these things, unfortunately, Thief is B tier. He is, again, good against certain hunters, but against most of the hunters, especially the common hunters in the game, just not a very good survivor. That's what makes him B tier. The next character in B tier is Mechanic. I know some people are like, oh, Mechanic adjustments make her better, blah, 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 whatever. But in reality, Mechanic is still just underwhelming, unfortunately. The biggest problem with Mech is that not only does her bot feed present, she also decodes slower when survivors are injured. So a lot of hunters can kind of just play around that and just create injuries on the board, making it hard for the Mechanic to decode. Especially hunters that rely on presence can really thrive against her. So that's sort of, can be great problems as well. So yeah, in reality, Mechanic is just a little bit underwhelming. But overall, she is still a solid B tier character and, still playable in rank, but it's hard to get wins with Mechanic when it comes down to it at the end of the day. The next character in B tier is Novelist. Now, Novelist became very good when Gamekeeper was a big character because you could use the switch. As soon as the Gamekeeper was going for a hook, it would cancel the hook and turn on their cooldown, which would be really bad for Gamekeeper. But Gamekeeper sort of fell off, and Novelist is still a pretty good character against some hunters, but overall, it's just not anywhere as good as he used to be against a lot of the hunters in the game. Now, against certain hunters, again, he's very good, and I think he's a strong rank survivor. He's just not as good as some of the other kiters. He can support on a rescue by switching the hunter away, giving the survivor some distance, and he can get speed boost from that. And I mean, overall, it's just he's just not as good at, I don't know how to say, he's just not as good at kiting compared to some of the A+ tier and A tier survivor kiting characters. But not a bad support character and a decent kiter, so he's just middle of B tier. Next survivor in B tier is Cowboy. Now, Cowboy, compared to some of the other harassers as well, is not quite as strong. Cowboy does have some advantages on certain maps where it's hard for the hunter to get the survivor to the chair. Cowboy can help the survivor struggle free by lassoing them. The Cowboy can waste a lot of time with that as well. But the problem is when Cowboy lassos, he just doesn't free the survivor. The survivor remains on the ground, and that can be problematic because the hunter can just pick them up and chair them again in some situations, depending on where the chair is. Additionally, Cowboy can get excitement and use excitement, and the lasso won't work. So there's just a few things in which Cowboy is just considered an underwhelming survivor. Now, he does have some good kiting potential, but in reality, compared to some of the other characters in the game, his kiting isn't quite as good and as consistent, so that's what makes Cowboy a B-tier survivor. The next survivor in B tier, and some people might be upset by this, but unfortunately it's the truth. This is Journalist. Journalist is only good against a select few hunters. For example, it's very good against Clown for some reason. Joker, Smiley Face. I don't know. Not really many people play Clown, but if you put the little bro, the Orpheus, in the palette, the Clown, it'll palette stun the Clown when he's dashing, which is really strong. But against some hunters, they can just go around it, and that's just not that good. Hunters that can hit through, hunters like Anne can just stun the little bro, stun the mini Orpheus, and that can also be a little bit of a problem as well. There's just a lot of hunters that kind of just play around Journalists. You can kind of just walk around the palette. Unless it's a god palette, which what a god palette is it's a really strong palette that the hunter has to break. That can be good because that can waste some time that way. But again, even hunters like Geisha, they'll just bait the palette drop and then dash over the palette. And it's just kind of like, okay, well, that didn't do much. Or Goatman will just put a cage, go to the other side, hit you. You know what I mean? So overall, Journalist is just not that good against some of the strong hunters. Also, good hunters can play around the body block. They're very good at playing around the body block, getting a swing to hit around the Orpheus body block. The mini Orpheus body block. I think it's Orpheus, right? I just call him Lil Bro. Get around the Lil Bro body block. That's why Journalist is B tier. But in lower tiers, Journalist is pretty good. Up until about tier 4, tier 5, Journalist can be good. After that, would not recommend Journalist. Next character in B tier is Postman. Postman used to be quite good back when he had a 20% decoding increase. Now it's only 10%. Back then he was played as mostly a decoding character because of that decoding buff. Now he's just an overall support. 10% increased decoding letter definitely isn't bad. Unfortunately, it's not quite as good as it used to be and not quite strong enough compared to some of the other survivors. Additionally, Postman, he also has an issue with just kiting in general. Now he does have the dog, which can be quite good to slow down the hunter. But overall, he is just not quite as strong at Cypher Rush as some of the other decoders as well. So it makes him not quite as viable. Other support characters are just considered stronger and more playable than him, and that's what makes him a B-tier survivor. The next survivor in B-tier is Faro Lady. Now, I know a lot of people love Faro Lady, and Faro Lady, I'm going to be honest, is actually very good up until about tier 5, tier 6. Once you're up there, Faro Lady is not considered playable anymore, just because a lot of hunters know how to play around Faro Lady. They can just follow the blue. They can obviously tell on the fit where the fake blue is going, and you don't follow that, you follow the other one. Fast hunters or hunters with large hitboxes like a Gamekeeper hook, or fast hunters like Opera are pretty good at just sticking with the Faro Lady and getting the hit that way. Now, she definitely does waste some time, but overall, her kiting is just not as good as it should be. And then the rescuing speed as well, being very, very slow, gives hunters an opportunity to play for tear shocks and stuff rescues, which is not good for consistency. You want to have safe, strong rescues in Identity 5, especially when it comes to higher tier. But overall, it's just that's kind of the biggest problem with Faro Lady, is rescuing, and good hunters can play around the invisibility. But overall, again, up to about tier 5 Griffin, she's considered pretty good, and after that I would maybe try to find a new character. But Faro Lady, not bad, B tier. The next survivor B tier is Explorer. Now, I know there's some people who would say Explorer is in A tier. I personally think Explorer is in B, just because he's very map situational. He's only good on maps like Arms Factory, Leo's Memory, maps with very good hiding places, and then he's very bad on maps like Red Church. He's not very good on Ever Sleeping. Explorer does not have hiding places on that map. So Explorer is very reliant on hiding well. He's a good Cypher Rush character, obviously, as a decoder, but just because of the lack of hiding places on certain maps. It makes them very situational. Also, certain hunters can find him really easily. Ivy, Dream Witch, Feaster. So if you're playing against not one of those hunters, like an Opportunity Explorer is good. If you're playing against those hunters, and again, in rank, you don't know what the hunter is going to be, and that's what makes Explorer underwhelming and B tier. Moving on to the next tier, which is A tier. First hunter in A tier is Painter. Painter's, I will admit, Painter's not bad. The problem with Painter is, again, some top hunters can play around the paintings. They're very good at looking around the painting and hitting the survivor. But in rank, Painter, I would say, is not a bad survivor at all. He can also be played in some tournament situations, but the nice thing about Painter is his chair time. I still don't think Painter's too strong, but he's still not bad. And Painter's chair time is quite nice because you can rescue him at any point. If you die in someone's cipher, you can rescue him, you can kite away, and then you can just continue decoding, and Painter will still have a lot of chair time left. And then obviously the paintings are good because you don't have to get the full painting to go for a shorter stun painting, which is good. It can help avoid a hit and buy you some distance. So yeah, overall, Painter's not that bad, but in reality, compared to some of the other kiters, not quite as good, but still definitely makes it up there in A tier, is definitely playable. Next character in A tier is Forward. Now, Forward used to be S tier, used to be one of the best survivors in the game. But again, a lot of the best hunters in the game are very good at countering Forward. Goatman, Opera, and a lot of those hunters can counter Forward quite well. Even Geisha. Geisha can counter Forward. They put the butterfly above the down survivor, walk out to the Forward, get him to walk away, and then dash back to the butterfly, pick up the survivor real quick, and Forward's too far away to go for a stun. So, while some Forwards can definitely carry games against certain characters, Forward is just not as good as he used to be, unfortunately. Next character in A tier is Perfumer. Now, Perfumer has kind of gone back up in the meta and has become a little bit more playable again, up to A tier again, just due to the fact that she's good against a lot of single A hunters. And there's so many single A hunters in the game right now. For example, Goatman, Opera Singer, Geisha, Bloody Queen. Perfumer's good against all of those. Now, she's bad against the stunners. That's the problem. She's bad against stunning characters. For example, Anne, Ivy, things like that. But against those single hunters that cannot stun, Perfumer is considered quite strong, especially paired with something like Seer or Cheerleader to help her get her perfumes back if the hunter baits them out. So Perfumer goes really well paired with another survivor, again, like Seer or Cheerleader. And then she's just good against those single hit hunters, which a lot of people like to play in ranks. So Perfumer is a solid rank survivor and can also be a good rescuer as well. The next survivor at A tier is Toy Merchant. Now, the problem with Merchant is she is very map situational. Like on Red Church, Arms Factory, she's very, very weak. But on maps like Leo's Memory, Moon River Park, the two-story maps, Chinatown, she's very good. And then also, usually map situational characters are not considered to be A tier, but she is A tier because she does have very, very good support on those maps and also can give items to teammates once they've already used up their item. And for those reasons, Merchant is A tier. I mean, it's that simple. And then once you get to a two-story, you can fly. That's very good. Waste a lot of time that way. Merchant, yeah, A tier. Next character in A tier is Barmaid. Now, I don't really recommend playing Barmaid in rank unless it's like a map like Sacred Heart Hospital where you can take a hit and it's a very easy to kite in hospital for 20 seconds to get your heal off. Barmaid, the reason why she's A tier is because she's good in tournament. She's not great in rank at all. She's good with like something. If you have a Seer on the team, then she's good. But if not, she's not really good against hunters like Bonbon. Although Bonbon's not really played that much anymore. She's good against Ivy, but she's not good against Opera. She's not good against Goatman. She's not that good against Anne sometimes because Anne, as long as she can get the second cat in a row, she can get you down. She's not good against Geisha. A lot of these hunters that are good at getting quick hits back to back, Barmaid's not good against. And those are hunters that a lot of people like to play in ranks. So, but she is good against things like Hermit. She can be good against things like Photographer for healing off the chip damage. But at that point, I would just recommend playing Psychologist. Psychologist is just a way better version of Barmaid. If you want to play Barmaid, just play Psychologist instead. Psychologist is just a way better version of Barmaid. That's why Barmaid is only in A tier. And kind of bottom of A tier. Next character in A tier is Weeping Clown. Now, Weeping Clown is actually solid because he's hard to chase. He's hard to chase, and his decoding debuff isn't as slow as other rescuer-style characters. He has the rocket, which can make a lot of distance and waste a lot of time, and he has 3 of them, which is good. You can also use him to stun. It's not great for harassing, but it can buy some time if necessary. He can also support teammates by carrying them around the map on the rocket. So Weeping Clown does have a lot of advantages in that sense, and he can also rescue as well. So Weeping Clown definitely, while it may be slightly slower decoding, he does have very good support, kiting abilities as well. And that's what makes him an A tier survivor. Now, the next survivor in A tier is Batter. Batter is obviously can be a very good supporter. He has good kiting abilities because he has fast vaulting speed, especially when he's in rage mode. He can harass, which wastes time, although he does sort of get countered a little bit by the fast pickup speed, the 20% increased ballooning speed trait that hunters can bang on their persona web. But against certain hunters, he's very good. Against he hard counters Geisha. You just grab a butterfly. If you pick up a butterfly as Batter and you just hold the ball back and look at her, she can't do anything. He can kind of be good against Anne in some situations, although once you start to play against high tier Anns, those Anns are very good at curve jumping and they can jump around the ball. He's good at supporting against some characters. Against others, not as good. So he's sort of hit or miss. It depends on what characters you're banning in rank and what characters you expect to play against. But overall, Batter's not a bad support character, solid kiter, and can also rescue as well. So he is an A tier survivor. But he is very situational. The next survivor at A tier is Prospector. Prospector is a solid choice for rank, as in that he's a good support character, he's a good harasser, and also a good kiter. Now against certain hunters, again, not very good, like the Goatman, like the Opera, but against a character like Anne, which has risen in popularity in NAU, Prospector is quite good. So, if you guys are going to play Prospector in rank, you should not be banning Anne. A lot of people like to ban Anne. I would not recommend Anne ban. I don't think Anne is a good ban. I think you should be banning things that are a lot stronger, like Goatman, Ivy, or Opera Singer. But if you want to ban Anne in lower tiers, that's totally okay, because a lot of people do play Anne at that tier. But if you're a Prospector, you should not be banning Anne, because Prospector is very strong at kiting Anne. If you drop the magnet and she jumps on you to stun you, the magnet will push the Anne back and you can kite out a cat using that ability. So Prospector is A tier, good supporter, can be a good harasser, good kiter, solid all-around character in A tier. The next character in A tier is Prisoner. Prisoner is a good decoder, not really for Cypher Rush, but for helping teammates finish Cypher machines. That can be important, finishing Cypher machines from across the map. As a Prisoner, for those of you who are playing Prisoner and are new to Prisoner and want to learn, always connect to the Rescuer Cypher first, if they're not kiting. If the Rescuer is not kiting, connect to their Cypher first. You want to help them pop their Cypher so they can go rescue when the Survivor goes down, the first kite goes down. So you should always be connecting the Rescuer Cypher if possible. So Prisoner's good for, again, finishing Cyphers across the map, so Survivors don't have to run across to finish them. He's good at supporting the decoding in that sense. Now his increased, he doesn't have like a big decoding buff like Lawyer, which is 15% plus, or Explorer, who can pop ciphers instantly with his pages, but he does have that connection, which can be very important to finishing Cypher machines. He also has some kiting potential, the Shock Stun, which can be quite good. That's very good against something like Geisha, and can waste time against certain hunters. So Prisoner is A tier for those reasons. The next survivor in A tier is Lawyer. Now, Lawyer is very good when you have solo queue and also teammates, but especially solo queue. Lawyer, in my mind, is one of the best solo queue characters in the game. The reason why is because when you're solo queuing, it's hard to tell what's going on because you're not in VC with your teammates. So as a lawyer, you can use the map to see everything that's going on. If you don't know who the hunter is, whatever, you can look at the map, see where the hunter is, and see what the hunter is. If you don't know where a certain teammate is, look on the map, see where they are. If you don't know where the Cypher machine is you're supposed to decode, you look on the map, see where it is. Lawyer, I keep saying Explorer. Lawyer is very good in that sense. Very good solo queue survivor. He's also a decoder, so he has increased decoding speed. After he finishes the first Cypher, he has increased vaulting and running speed over time. And he can't get Terror Shock, so he can also rescue sometimes as a Veteran's bonus, which is solid. So Lawyer does have a lot of good things going for him. Now, unfortunately, if Lawyer is found, if he's teleported on or warped on against certain hunters, he can go down quickly, and that's the problem. Being a decoder, you do run that risk. But overall, still, Lawyer is a strong character, especially for solo queue. That's why he's an A tier survivor. The next survivor in A tier is Entomologist. Now, Entomologist has sort of fallen down from A+, and the reason why, again, is that some of the best hunters in the game are very strong against her. For example, Goatman, Ivy, Opera Singer, Bloody Queen are all good against her, but she's also good against some select specific hunters, such as Geisha, such as Anne. If you time the getting off the beast quickly, she can be good against Gamekeeper as well. And she can also be a good support character. So as long as you know how to support, that's important. Now, the key is to not over-support. Make sure you're prioritizing decoding as well. supporting in the right places can be very good for an Entomologist, and that's why she is A tier. The next and final survivor in A tier is Composer. Now, Composer is also somewhat map situational. He's good on maps that have very strong kiting looping areas because he can use those speed boosts to kind of stay ahead of the hunter and loop in those areas like Hotel on the hotel building on Chinatown, or Big Boat on Lakeside, or Sacred Heart Hospital. He's very good on those maps. So he's a decoder. He's also a decoder that has good kiting potential. You know, he has the speed boosts with the notes. His decoding can get up to 20%, which is incredibly fast and can help ciphers complete a lot quicker. And that's pretty much it. As a Composer player, you just have to make sure you're paying attention to what's happening. A lot of people get so caught up in the notes game, clicking the notes. I call it the piano tiles game because it reminds me of piano tiles. You get so caught up in doing the little notes game that you don't see what's going on in the match, and you don't realize, oh my god, we're at one cipher hour. I accidentally popped the last cipher, something like that. So you have to make sure you're paying attention to that. But as long as you're paying attention to what's happening in the match, Composer is a solid A tier survivor. And actually one more survivor in A tier, and that is Professor. And Professor is very good against single hit hunters, such as he can be good against Goatman. He can be used against Opera Singer. He can be good at blocking abilities like a Gamekeeper hook. So there's some ways that Professor can be good. He recently, I've been told, he also got an adjustment that his scale can be used against the Ivy Scare as well. So yeah, I mean, overall Professor just has very good versatility, and especially with a lot of single hit hunters, again, being in rank, things like Geisha as well. Geisha, Clerk, even if people are playing Clerk, Goatman, Opera Singer, Professor's good against all those characters if utilized properly, but you have to make sure you don't get your scales baited. Keep in mind, as a Professor player, when the hunter's near you, their swing is slower, so you have to make sure you're insta-scaling, or else you're just going to get baited out and you're going to get hit. So if you do play Professor properly, he is definitely can be used as an A-tier survivor. Moving on to the next tier, which is A+ tier. The first is Cheerleader. Cheerleader is very good just because she has good kiting potential with her speed boost, and she can turn off the cooldown of survivor abilities, such as Perfume, or Composer's speed boost as well, or Patient hooks or anything like that. She's a good combination with certain characters that have cooldown their abilities. That makes her A+ tier. The next character in A+ tier, and a character that I've been playing a lot recently, is Magician. And I actually really like Magician. Magician has the ability to use 3 illusions, and also he has the illusion when rescued from chair the first time as well, which helps him rebound kite. And this can be very good against a lot of hunters, just for mind gaming hunters. As long as you mind game the hunter well with your illusion, Magician can be really, really good. It's good against Goatman. It can be good against Ivy, because when you use the illusion, it actually removes the ghost if it's attached to you, the Ivy ghost. It can be good against Opera Singer, being a single hit hunter. It can be against Geisha, Bloody Queen, any hunter like that. Magician is just an all-around strong kiter and is A+ tier. The next character in A+ tier is Patient. Patient used to be one of the best kiters in the game. It has fallen down a little bit as characters like Opera Singer have gotten better at chasing him. He's not particularly good against something like Goatman. And he can also get scared out of his hook ability from something like Ivy. So unfortunately, he's not good against some of the best hunters of the game, but against the rest of the hunters, he's still a very good transition kiter. Can be a good transition kiter against something like Anne, or against something like Bloody Queen or Naiad. So while Patient has definitely fallen down because a lot of the hunters have gotten better against him, a lot of the current hunters that people play a lot are better against him, he's still an A+ tier survivor. Definitely not one of the best kiters, but still strong nonetheless. Next character in A+ tier is Gravekeeper. Not much to say here. Gravekeeper is just an all-around solid rescuer. He also got a buff recently, which he gets the speed boost when using the shovel. So that's pretty good. And like the zoom, the NASCAR, with the shovel is pretty funny. And yeah, he's increased rescuing speed when he gets out of shovel as well, which makes him a good rescuer. And he's hard to chase for hunters, so he is A+ tier. Next character in A+ tier is Female Dancer. Dancer is very good at supporting with the slow boxes on certain maps. Also in 2-story buildings, she gets a drop-down speed boost, which is pretty strong for kiting. And against some of the best hunters in the game, that can be quite good. So Dancer is just a good support character and a good kiter herself as well, so A+ tier survivor. Next character in A+ tier is Embalmer. Now, Embalmer is good for getting ties. He's not exactly the best rank survivor, but he's very good at securing draws, because what Embalmer does is if you go down as Embalmer and you coffin yourself, none of the survivors have to stop to rescue. They can just continue to decode and focus on Cypher Rush, and they don't give injuries and don't give full presence to the hunter, which is very good. So Embalmer is good at just self-rescuing. This is good against good camping hunters as well, and hunters with limited map mobility. So Embalmer is a good tie survivor for that reason. That time wasted where the survivors are decoding and not feeding presence is a good way to result in a tie as a survivor side. But ultimately in ranked, you usually want to push for wins. So playing a tie survivor like Embalmer usually isn't recommended, but it's hard to lose with Embalmer, which is something that's very nice about him. So that's why he's A+ tier. The next character in A+ tier is Knight. Knight is a new release, fairly new release that has seen quite a lot of play, especially from players here in the North America European server. Knight is considered strong because of his rescuing. His rescuing is really good. The ability to use the sword and give a guaranteed shield for the survivor for the next few seconds is very good. It's almost like a built-in tide turner as well, which is pretty fun. And you don't run the risk of getting terror shocked or anything like that. So Knight is just a very good rescuer in that aspect. Now, his kiting with the helmets is not exactly the best. The problem is a lot of hunters, it's a gamble. Because he's kind of a gambly survivor like that, that makes him a little bit suboptimal. But overall, his rescuing is still quite strong. And that's why he's an A+ tier survivor. The next character in A+ tier is Wildling. Now, Wildling is a good rescuer in that he doesn't really have any like direct rescuing abilities, but if he does get cut off from a distance, he can use his boar to prevent getting cut off from a distance. Essentially, you can get past the hunter and get to the chair. Additionally, Wildling is unchaseable for most hunters. When he's on the boar, he's incredibly fast. It's hard for hunters to down the Wildling. So if your Wildling ever gets found, you can just jump on his boar, and the hunter is forced to change targets, which wastes a lot of time, which is great for the survivors. The next survivor in A+ tier is Seer. Now, Seer used to be S tier, and he's really just kind of fallen down. He's not utilized quite as much. He's still a very strong survivor, and maybe he deserves to be higher in A+ tier. Right now, I have a middle A+ tier, but overall, he is an A+ tier survivor, no longer S tier. The Seer is still quite often banned in rank, just because hunters don't want to deal with having to hit the owl and wasting extra time like that. It's a bit annoying to have to get an extra hit on a survivor. But besides that, Seer is a relatively easy chase for a lot of the top hunters in the game, and he's a good support character. He can farm owls and still quite very strong character, just not as strong as he used to be necessarily, and that's what makes him A+ tier. The next survivor in A+ tier is Aeroplanist. Aeroplanist is very good for not only for rescuing but also for kiting. He has the ability where he can jump up in the air and fly forward. And that's really good. You gain a lot of distance. That way you can knock the hunter back. You can cancel an ability if they're trying to use an ability on you. There's a lot of fun plays you can do with that. Additionally, he also has 3 jetpacks overall. You can use the ground jetpacks as well just to make distance, which should be pretty solid. And yeah, he can be used as a rescuer and also a kiter. A lot of versatility there. So Aeroplanist is an A+ tier survivor. The next survivor in A+ tier is Fire Investigator. Fire Investigator is a character that I never really liked for a while. But recently he has started to become a lot better and found his way into A+ tier. The ability to use the airbags against certain hunters is just incredibly strong. Ivy, we see a lot of Ivy in rank, and he's just very good at slowing down Ivy. He's very good at slowing down some other hunters that have a hard time getting through the airbag. He can waste time against Opera Singer, which is very important considering that Opera Singer is just such a strong hunter right now. Although she has been nerfed a lot of hunters are being very successful with her in high tier rank. Fire Investigator can be a good supporter because the airbag can block off a kiting route. It can stop an ability from a hunter. It can be used to get a speed boost. So there's a lot of ways Fire Investigator can be a good supporter / kiter, and that's why he's an A+ tier survivor. The next survivor in A+ tier is Puppeteer. Now, Puppeteer has become very kind of a staple in a lot of team comps and tournaments. Now, in rank, he's also quite good because he, again, single hit hunters, he's very good against Goatman. He can be utilized against Ivy. He's very strong against Opera Singer. He's really good against these single hit hunters that all these people are playing. Geisha, he can be used. Bloody Queen, he can be used. He's just good against all of these single hit hunters, and right now, the majority of the hunters in this game are single hit. Now, we have seen some sculptors start to get played recently, to counteract those that single hit and focus more on chip. But besides that, there's so many single hit hunters in this game. Puppeteer is very good for that reason. The next character in A+ tier is Acrobat. Acrobat will always be top of A+ tier. Extremely versatile character, great kiter. Is just a great kiter against pretty much every hunter in the game, with the exception of maybe like Soul Weaver. Acrobat's just a very good all-around kiter. The slow bombs to slow down a hunter if you need to, or a red bomb to turn off their abilities depending on the situation. You can use a interaction speed bomb, the white bomb, to slow down their vault at maybe a window or a pallet. There's just so many ways. Acrobat's just incredibly versatile. Is just a strong kiting character and can be used against pretty much any character hunter in the game. A+ tier, most versatile kiter in the entire game. The next and final A+ tier survivor is Coordinator. Coordinator is just good because she just wastes a lot of time. Wasting time is so important in this meta and against a lot of these hunters. Coordinator, you just have a guaranteed, as long as the hunter didn't bring excitement, you have a guaranteed kite essentially. Just using the flare gun to not only buy distance, but also just stop the hunter, just freeze the hunter essentially for some time. Is just great. It's a great ability. Not only is it great for kiting, it's also great for rescuing. The ability to use the flare gun after rescue to help the survivor rebound, give them a ton of distance, is just so crucial. So Coordinator is just a great survivor. She's a great kiter. She's a great rescuer. Very versatile and good against a lot of hunters in this game. Coordinator is an A+ tier survivor and a great survivor for both tournament and rank. Moving on to the final tier, which is S tier. The first survivor in S tier is Priestess. Now, Priestess is just very good. She's not the best. She used to be one of the best in S tier. Now she's the bottom of S tier. Again, because some of the hunters that a lot of people have been playing in rank are quite good against her. Characters like Opera Singer can catch, even after the stun going through the portal, Opera Singer can catch up very quickly. Characters like Geisha as well don't really mind it that much. She can dash and catch up. So Priestess is not too good against some of those hunters, but still overall Priestess is an incredible support character on maps like Moonlit, Ever Sleeping Town, Chinatown. Priestess is great. We see her get banned over and over on those maps. The long portal is very good. The healing speed is very good. Priestess, as you guys know, not much to say there, is extremely strong survivor and is in S tier. The next survivor in S tier, having gone from being like D tier, like maybe 15 seasons ago, 10 seasons ago, something like that, to being an S tier survivor, that's incredible. That is Gardener. Gardener is just really good. The fact that you start with a literal invincibility for the first 50 seconds, you have a bubble that makes you invincible essentially for taking the first hit. That is so good. But people don't realize how broken that is. To start off with a shield for the first 50 seconds of the match is incredibly powerful. Let's say it's an Opera Singer or a hunter that has good mobility. She catches up to you really quick. It doesn't matter. You can take a hit for free. You can't get terror shocked while you have your shield. You can take risky vaults. There's just so many things that make Gardener good because of that first 50-second bubble. And even after that, Gardener can still use bubbles later in the game. Farming a bubble to go for a rescue. Let's say your half health is Gardener. You get a bubble, you can still make the rescue. You know, and that's just really good. That's incredibly good. The chair breaking is also an added bonus. Now, that doesn't really come into play that much, but that's even an added bonus. Even without the chair break, Gardener would probably still be S tier. The fact that you start with the bubble and can still get a bubble during the game is just so good. And on top of that, you can also break chairs. That's awesome. Gardener's a very good survivor. Gardener's S tier. The next character in S tier is Antiquarian. The reason why Antiquarian's not the best is she's not the strongest against certain hunters. Against something like Opera Singer, obviously she's very good. Against Goatman, she's good, but you have to play her very, very specifically. Against Ivy, she's not really that strong. So it kind of just depends on the hunter. She's a bit situational in some instances, but for the most part, she's an incredibly good survivor. Great support character, great kiting character. The harassment is very good from the Antiquarian as long as you play her properly. Antiquarian is S tier. The next survivor in S tier is Psychologist. Now, Psychologist has become a very common ban in not only rank, but also, not common ban rank, but has become a pretty somewhat common ban in high tier rank, and also very common ban in tournament. Psychologist, the ability to literally just take 3 hits is so good. So many single hunters in the game. You have a character that literally can just take 3 hits. That is just so good. This game is meant to have survivors are meant to take 2 hits. Psychologist can take 3 hits. On top of that, she can also heal a teammate from across the map. On top of that, if it's a chip hunter, like a photographer or a hermit or something like that, Psychologist is so good because she can use the whistle to heal off those chip damages, those non-full damages, those partial damages. So Psychologist is just such a versatile all-around character. She pairs well with harassment characters as well. Because let's say there's a character harassing like Antiquarian, and the hunter hits the Antiquarian while she's harassing. Psychologist will just heal her with the whistle, and the Antiquarian can still go for the save because she'll be back to full health. Sorry. So there's just so many ways Psychologist is just incredibly strong. Can kite for a very long time because of the 3 hits. Good at supporting with the heals. S tier character for sure. The next character in S tier is First Officer. Now, First Officer is just a great rescuer because it's so hard to stuff an officer. Getting the Tide Turner effect when you're using the watch is really good for 5 seconds. You can still make a rescue that way very easily. And yeah, that's just First Officer. He's hard to chase because he has the watches, and he gets the Tide Turner effect after getting hit, which means it's very easy for him to rescue then. Yeah, really great survivor, really great rescuer. First Officer is just S tier, and his decoding is only 20% slower, which is very good. And he has a longer time on chair, so he's just a great survivor. The last survivor in S tier, and currently the #1 survivor in the game, is Mercenary. Mercenary is the best rescuer for rank and is incredibly good, obviously, in tournaments as well. Very common ban. Mercenary is one of the most banned survivors that we've seen, dating way back to like season 8 or even season 6 or 7 or 5. Mercenary has always been an incredibly strong survivor. The ability to be able to rescue at half health because of the delayed effect is just so good. The fact that Mercenary used to have 6 elbow pads and 5 elbow pads, and the delayed effect was 15 seconds, and now it's like, what, 8 seconds, 7 seconds? And Mercenary is still this good. Mercenary is just so good. Mercenary is also an incredibly good solo queue survivor, because as a rescuer, you get a ton of points, and also hunters never will chase Mercenary. So if you're the last survivor left, you can go for dungeon and get extra points, even if you are losing games. Mercenary is a great rank survivor for those reasons. A great tournament survivor. Can rescue at half health. It's very hard for hunters to chase because of the elbow pads and delayed effect. Mercenary is S tier. Currently, I have as the #1 survivor in the game. Okay, guys, that's going to wrap it up for the tier list. If you have any questions or comments, don't forget to let me know in the comment section below. Again, this is just my perspective, and I also coordinated this with some other high-tier competitive players in the NAAU region. So we really spent a lot of time thinking about this one and putting this one together. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are in the world. Peace out for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.